Hello, welcome to Comcast Newsmakers. I'm Ellie Pai Hong. Back in the 90s, 1 in 25 children was diagnosed with autism. Today, that number is 1 in every 40 children. And a lot of parents are having difficulty finding the necessary treatment for those kids. With me for this segment is Tamika Lecheé Morales. She is president of the Autism Hero Project. Tamika, thank you so much for coming in. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having me, Ellie. I appreciate it.
Those numbers are startling. It was just released in a study in the journal Pediatrics back in late November. And you think of that number and it's pretty scary. That means so many kids are dealing with this. So many parents are dealing with this.
Absolutely. It's really, it almost seems like it's an epidemic.
Why? What are the reasons for these skyrocketing numbers?
Obviously, part of it, I believe, is like awareness. More people are becoming aware, but you know, if I had to guess, I think it has to be something environmental. When you see that, you know, just a few decades ago, it was 1 in 5,000. In the 90s, it was 1 in 2,500. The CDC estimated it would be 1 in 59 this year, and then the journal came out that you just mentioned, and CNN just posted it on November 29th that it's actually 1 in 40. So it's really alarming, actually. And so it's got a lot of people scared and fearful, and it's something that needs to be addressed. But until they come up with, you know, what the root cause is, who knows when that will come out, right? For me, it's not even about necessarily figuring out what the cure is as much as how do we create a world of inclusion for these children with autism. You know, to complete a puzzle, you need to have all the pieces, and since the puzzle piece is the symbol for autism, it's really important that we provide, as the Autism Hero Project, one piece of that puzzle, which is providing medical insurance for children on the spectrum. We believe that there should be no financial barriers to be able to access the therapies that they need to be successful, like the #1 therapy out there for children with autism, ABA therapy.
Because early intervention is key for kids with autism.
It's extremely key. Yeah, especially when you consider that 80% of the people diagnosed with autism today happen to be children. Just proves that there's something going on, but more importantly, we have to prepare our world for them. And how do we do that? We try to equip them with early intervention so that they can access everything that they need to be successful as possible, and make sure our world is inclusive of them to be able to create opportunities and not exclude them.
So your organization actually purchases insurance policies, annual insurance policies for folks. And you see applications every day of kids with autism and parents who are struggling.
Oh, we see so many applications. And it was actually through the application process, I mean, that I became aware that some families are struggling with 2 and 3 of their children being diagnosed with autism. And so they say the average cost for a child with autism is at least $60,000 a year plus. And so depending on how severe they are. So imagine if you have 2 or 3 children with autism, how do you take care of those expenses that they need just to provide their daily necessities of, you know, life skills and potty training, and just be able to have those social interactions. And for a lot of them, it's helped them to communicate and be verbal.
And if you get that early intervention, that's all possible later on in life.
Absolutely.
But if you wait, then it may be too late.
It may be too late, yes, because especially that, you know, the spectrum is very wide, but a lot of the children kind of learn behaviors and they become very repetitive in sense. And so with that being said, if you don't get that early intervention to kind of give them those social skills and all the other accesses to things that they need help in their deficiencies, so to speak, then the problem becomes a lot wider, and it's a lot harder to close those gaps.
Right, and this is a passion project for you too, because it's a personal story.
It is a personal story. My son was diagnosed on June 4th, 2015, and for any family who's been affected with autism, they always start with the date. And for me, that was the date that kind of changed my world and rocked my world forever. And in the beginning, I looked at it as almost like a death sentence for my ignorance, truthfully, and not knowing enough about what autism was, because you didn't hear so much about it. And now you hear a lot more about it. And yet, even with that, there's still a lot of people who have no idea. But when you have children like 1 in 37 boys being diagnosed, for every 1 in 37 boys, the ratio is nearly 5 to 1 compared to girls, where it's 1 in 151 girls. So you know that 1% of the population has autism. Where there's 70 billion people, right? That's 70 million people with autism today.
So the word needs to get out. For more information, folks can go to autismheroproject.org. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
We'll see you next time on Newsmakers.